Hello friends and potential friends. And let's see, I think today is April 25th, Thursday. And we'll start by looking at the patio out here. Last week my friend Peanut was talking about how his prickly pear cactus was starting to produce fruit. And that got me to thinking I would sure like to have some prickly pears growing in the garden. There was a patch a few blocks from here I've been looking at, and so the other day I stopped and asked the lady if I could cut a few blades off of it, and she thanked me for actually asking, told me to help myself. So I've got 3 prickly pear cactuses in pots here. I'll keep them in the pots until I decide where I'm going to plant them. And they'll probably stay on the patio for a lot longer than they really should, just like those pineapples back there. Other things on the patio, I've got a wad of tomatoes over here. I just brought them out of the lab and piled them up here. Those are Praxis cherry, and since these are out with the other tomatoes, I won't be saving these for seeds, so I think I get to enjoy one in the garden for a change. Got some homesteads and some Floridads in here. A little bit of everything. I never staked them up, so they're just kind of going wild there. But they're still producing. Tomatoes in the main garden are still producing too, though they've kind of slowed up a little bit. We have had a couple of days above 90 degrees already, but for those of you who remember last year, this is not a sign of last year's temperatures. So far this year we've had 2 days of 90 degrees. Last year by this time we'd had over 20 days that hit 90 degrees. And I think we all know what the summer was like last summer. I don't think we're in for a repeat this year. But it's still getting warm enough to where the tomatoes are slowing down a little bit. These are Romas over on this side. Probably a few Floridads mixed in there. I'll just walk around the other side and you'll see that it's just kind of a wad here too. But there are a few that I get to eat, and I've been picking a few. Got more I'm putting in the freezer. The homesteads still got plenty of green ones on there. I'm just waiting for them to ripen too. But meanwhile, the Everglades cherry tomatoes, I've been eating on them for the last couple of months. And they are good too, let me tell you. But they'll be coming to an end before too long. So I'm just waiting for these things to ripen. I get a handful every day or so. Let's see. Comfrey's doing good. Comfrey looks happy. You notice the cilantro's missing. I finally harvested the seeds from that and pulled the rest of them up. And one of my neighbors gave me a big potato that was chitting badly, so I cut it up in pieces and planted it here. Nothing's coming up yet, but it's still early for that. Meanwhile, the sweet potato slips are coming along nicely. Those will be going into the ground before too long. The collards, I've decided I'm just going to let them grow. I'm still eating a little bit here and there, but I've pretty much had my fill of collards. So we'll see if they can survive the summer heat. And if they do, maybe I'll get some seeds out of them eventually. Mustards, I'm just waiting to pick seeds off of them too. They've got plenty of seed pods hanging all over the place. So I'm just waiting for them to start drying out. Then I'll pick them and clean up this bed a little bit. This is the red mustard up here. It lasted a little bit longer before it started going to seed than the Florida broadleaf. Now, a big disappointment for me so far is my garlic bed. Got some elephant garlic down there at the end that still looks like it's doing okay. But the other two varieties that I planted in here, looking pretty sad. Now, strictly speaking, I don't know what I'm doing with growing garlic. I mean, I tried to follow the directions as much as I could, but I did plant them a little bit later in the season because I suspected that they were going to pop up as soon as I planted them, and that's what happened. So I was hoping that they would last until I come back from my mom's this summer, but I don't think they're going to. And it's still too early to dig them too. I've stuck my finger down next to some of them and they are not very well developed under the ground. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. Maybe I'm just going to have to keep buying garlic or just use the elephant garlic. But I have started transitioning to the summer crops. I've got these 4 shishito pepper plants down here, and they're putting on fruit pretty good. I've heard these are a good roasting pepper, so I decided to try them out myself. Every one of them has got fruit on it. My other peppers are over here in this bed. That's where the carrots and radishes and things were. Got hot peppers down at this end. This first row is lemon spice jalapenos, and there are some small jalapenos growing on them. And then next to them is a Megatron jalapeno. I planted these because I want to grow poppers. I like jalapeno poppers, but usually the peppers that the jalapenos that I get are little tiny things. Well, I've got at least one good sized one there, so maybe I'll get at least one popper this year. Next to those there's a yellow Scotch bonnet down at that end, and I've got some cayenne peppers here, got Pusa Jawalas here in the middle, sweet banana peppers here, and something broke one of the tops off. Well, it'll grow back anyway. There's a California Wonder bell pepper that's actually doing good, and 2 California Wonder bell peppers that are not doing so good. And over on the far side, we've got the Jimmy Nardellos. These are one of my favorite snacking peppers. They usually don't make it into the house. They're coming along nicely. Good tasting, very mild. And when they start turning red, I can just sit out here and eat them like carrots. More sweet banana peppers over here, and they're coming along pretty good as well. And then at the end here, I've got a variety called the Keystone Giant Bell Pepper. See, I like stuffed peppers, and I have been trying for years to grow bell peppers that are big enough to be worth stuffing. With the California Wonders, I usually get little tiny things. Now I'm hoping that these Keystone Giants will give me a good stuffing pepper this year. Oop, there's more tomatoes I could be snacking on. And finally, the Patience Garden. Well, I hate to say it, but it looks like I might have to keep my patience going. The ferns you see there are all in their 3rd or 4th year. And theoretically I could start harvesting some of those, but so far they've been so small that I've just been letting them grow. I do have more seeds I planted in the lab to try to fill in at both ends of this bed, but it looks like I'm gonna have to just mind my patience and keep working towards getting them going. I don't know, maybe they just don't like the heat down here or something. That seems to get a lot of plants. But anyway, it is definitely a period of transition around here. Some things are still producing, some things are winding down, some things are just getting started. And another month or so, we're going to be in the dead of summer. So, hope you enjoyed the little walk around, and I'll see you next time.